So this is what makes sense to me as a business journalist. And we keep on saying that because we are live to the challenges and the prospects of our economy. So now speak to any economist, speak to any politician, speak to any leader in the country that will tell you that the success of our Kenyan economy is pegged on the small businesses within this economy. That 80% of the Kenyan jobs are held by small businesses. So the 20% has already figured itself out. So if you're going to make success or progress as an economy, then you've got to figure out how to make the 80% of your economy tick. So you sit back and then say, it's easy then. Is that a government initiative to make it tick? Yes, to some degree. But then what will make sense then is create business opportunities as companies that are also going to help in opening up this particular space. But then again, read any report, international reports, world economy reports, UN reports about the challenges that are facing small businesses in the country. Top in any other report you're going to read all the way from 2000 up to where we are in this decade, you'll be told capital is a very, very big challenge. You handle a capital, then you start then to make businesses in this area tick. So I'm happy then to introduce a business that has been in this particular space for 16 years. That is testament to the fact that whatever it is that they're doing with small businesses is working. Allow me then to introduce the country manager for Business Partners International, Mr. Michael Mudengi, who's going to tell us exactly what he's doing in this particular space to make the 80% tick. And we'll talk about this 80%. Is it going for the entire 80% or just a percentage of this 80%? How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
Happy to have you around. Thank you very much for welcoming us into your office.
Thank you, I'm most welcome.
Let's start like this. I've done an introduction that might not be 100%, but could be around 98%. So let's put it into proper perspective then. Business Partners International. Who are you as a company? What are you doing in Kenya?
Thank you very much. Business Partners International, we consider ourselves a risk financial. We are not a commercial bank, but we are a financial institution that is willing to take a little bit more risk than what a commercial bank would do. So we'll fund entrepreneurs and specifically SMEs between 15 million Kenyan shillings all the way to 150 million Kenyan shillings.
Yes.
We finance them for almost anything. Business expansion, acquisition of property, development of property. We've even done transactions like where a shareholder wants to be bought out by his management or by other shareholders. So we do literally everything in between there that relates to SMEs. And what is very unique about the SMEs that we love to support is that we call them lifestyle entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And what is a lifestyle entrepreneur? This is somebody who breathes and sleeps his business. So they wake up in the morning, they do everything to keep that business afloat. So if that business were to collapse, most probably they would also collapse. Why? Because that's their lifestyle. So that's the unique thing that Business Partners International is doing in this market.
Pretty much. We're going to come and talk deeply onto it.
Yes.
But then there's something that I've learned about the way that you conduct your business right here at this particular company, that you do not necessarily support the business, you're supporting the entrepreneur.
Yes.
Is that a magic bullet for you? Can you create a distinction? Because if you're supporting the entrepreneur, you're essentially supporting the business. But then why do you say, for us, we fund the entrepreneur? Why? Can you create that distinction?
Why? For us, the reality is the business is the entrepreneur. if you remove the entrepreneur from that business, it could very easily change form and like. Why? Because the passion that this entrepreneur has for this particular business is most probably very unique to that person. And therefore for us, the entrepreneur is the most important peg in that whole conversation, because they are the ones who drive the agenda. They're the ones who bear the vision of that particular enterprise, and they're the ones who then drive it, obviously supported by the rest of the team.
Yes. So the audit of the person that you essentially work with or partner with in your journey of funding the entrepreneur, I like to think is quite heavy.
It's actually not only heavy, it's very important and critical for us.
Yes.
And there are times where we have evaluated very good-looking businesses on paper, but because we were not very confident with the entrepreneurs themselves, we actually walked away from that.
So you walked away with numbers that would tell that this business is heading somewhere, yes. but because the entrepreneur is not convincing on your metrics, you say no.
Yes. And then, like I say, because at the end of the day, for us, it's a lifestyle, and this person needs to be able to demonstrate. And once in a while, when I talk to entrepreneurs, I tell them, if you can't sell your business at 3 a.m. in the morning, it's very difficult to get business partners to finance you.
So you're a partner, essentially. You look to partner, not essentially finance. Finance comes as an accolade of the partnerships. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. And to even explain that a little bit more, is at times during that whole journey, we will be able to identify and see if we could just add a little bit more value to this entrepreneur, besides just giving them the finances, is what would make the difference. And that's where our technical assistance fund comes into the picture. And what does that do? It comes in and checks and says, what is it that this entrepreneur, as experienced as they look, what is it that we can be able to add value to them to make the difference? And we do it. Give you a very simple example. We find this entrepreneur who was living and running their enterprise in such a way that if they walked out of the business for an hour or two, nothing would actually happen in that business. Why? Because they signed every single check, they made every single decision. They were the ones making that decision. And we said, no, you can't run your business that way. And we helped them with a mentor who came in and said, what is it that needs to be done in your business to free you to do the right things in the business? And that made the difference. So the last time I had a conversation with him, we sat in our boardroom for up to 3 hours, and the business was still running. Why? Because we had taken them and said, they have the vision, they know what they're doing, they just need a little bit of help beyond just the funding.
Yes, pretty much. But we're going to come and look at exactly how your operations are and where you've stayed in this particular space for 16 years, what that means. But let's talk about you first before we look at the business then. Let's talk about the man, Mike. And I'm using that word because I've had Debbie call you that. Why are you in this space? Because then, if you've been given this responsibility to partner, Mike, it's got to be something that excites you on a personal level. You're not here by mistake, I would like to think.
No, I'm not here by mistake. Two things. I enjoy working with numbers.
Yes.
Financing is about numbers. At the end of the day, you keep pulling a number from here to see what is effective. You moved it from here and put it here. So I enjoy working with numbers. But more so, I enjoy seeing the results of my effort. So when I work with an entrepreneur, which I have done for the last 20 or so years, different entrepreneurs at different levels, what brings me joy is to see an entrepreneur change their enterprise from this level to this level. What does business partners do for me? And which was just amazing, is the fact that it enables me to actually see that growth of an entrepreneur coming to us and saying, this is where I am at, this is what I am doing. And when we give them funding and we also give them a little bit of technical assistance, we go back a year or two and we're able to see the change in that business. For me, that's really what drives me.
Does it?
Yeah.
So you're right, within the 80%. Now we're going to come back and say, why the 15 to 100 million. We're going to talk about that later on. Again, it's something that I want to understand as well. So here you are working with businesses.
Yes.
And somebody's going to ask you, even from the get-go,
Yes.
for you to partner, how many businesses do you want to work with at a go? Currently, how many businesses are you able to take up and work with this journey towards the end?
Now, this is the interesting part. Business partners plays in a niche space. Very intentional. We don't play in the mass market. We are very intentional about what we want. And at any given point, we're saying, this year, for example, for 2024, we want to bring in on board 20 to 25 new businesses on board. So which means on average in a month, we want to only bring on board 2 businesses. Why is that important to us? It's so that we're able to get the right entrepreneur and we're able to make sure that their objective is similar to what we're trying to do. I don't know whether that makes sense.
I'm trying to make it make sense, because somebody's going to say, I mean, 2 to 3 businesses in a month. That means that it's a personal journey that you're working with these businesses, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's why I said, remember, we're not trying to build businesses. We're partnering with entrepreneurs. We're looking at Simba as an entrepreneur and saying, what does Simba need for his enterprise to succeed and have impact? Not just to himself, because one of our values is that we want to create wealth. And also, that wealth we're creating is that Simba needs to be able to create his wealth, but more importantly, that wealth that he's creating must influence the people around him.
Yes, sir.
Is he creating employment? Because if you're not creating employment in this whole conversation, for us it's like, do we really want to get involved in this business? We want to get in a business that is creating impact. So it's creating employment. If it's creating employment for women, even better for us. And we're looking. And then the other question we're asking ourselves, what is it doing to the environment? Is it destroying the environment or is it enhancing the environment? So for us to be able to do all those tiny things in there as we evaluate Simba, as we look at the impact and do all these things, trust me, it won't take you a day or 2. It will most probably take you a week or 2 weeks. But at the end of the day, what is critical is that we want to understand what you want to do, and then we ask ourselves, can we fit in what Simba is trying to do to help him achieve his objective? Yes.
At this particular company, in this space of partnering with businesses, financing entrepreneurs, what is the definition of a successful enterprise in this particular space?
For us, success means the business grows in terms of, from a revenue point of view. It must grow. If it will not grow by us giving them financing, then there's no need of us having that conversation. So the first thing that at the end of the day we must ensure happens is that when we fund you, your business must grow. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that you must create impact around your community, around your environment, around everything that you're doing. So is the impact you're creating, is it job creation? Is it ensuring that the environment is conserved? Is it introducing a new supplier into your space? What kind of impact are you doing at the end of the day? So for us, success means that we've achieved that. At the end of the year, we're able to look back and check, and which we do. We're asking you, your financials when you came to us, they were here. Have they gotten here? That's the first thing we're checking. Number 2, you told us based on the funding we're going to give you, you're most probably going to employ another 5 or 10 people. Did you actually employ those people? Then we go further in and say, out of these people that you employ, because gender for us is critical, how many of them were women? And we want to see. Then we even go further and say, did you manage to even elevate a woman into your management level, executive level? Because for us, that's impact. And that's what we are measuring. So for us, that's really what success is. That you just came in and made a lot of money at the end of the day. For us, that's not success. The impact must also happen.
I'm smiling because the next question is also directed to you on a personal level as well. Because I hear you speak passionately about what success means. I avoided this part in my research. I don't like talking to CEOs or managers, and then I learn how long they've been at a company. I just want to know how long the business has been running. And 16 years in this space speaks to a model that is already working on a personal level for the time that you've been here. What makes you happy? It's this time you also reveal how long you've been here today as well, so we can audit it together.
I've been here 4 years now. What makes me happy? It's like I said, seeing an entrepreneur who walked in looking for not just funding, but the ability to make some impact of some sort, actually having achieved that. And they're able to come back and say, when you found me, this is what I had. Maybe I had this small office, or I had this small go down, or I had this workshop. Now I have equipment in it, or I have bigger space to work from. I've been able to increase my capacity. For me, that's really what makes me happy. Have we seen that? Yes, we have seen that. In the 16 years we've been here, we've seen companies that have completely transformed.
Yes.
We've seen companies that have been very successful. Which maybe somebody else looking at it might say, yeah, the way you're looking at success is not necessarily the way we, but we're happy with the success the way we see it, because the company has moved to the direction where they had projected and we foresaw that they can be able to reach.
Well, pretty much in the second part of this conversation, we're going to look at the kind of technical support that you offer, the kind of interest that attracts once you partner with these entrepreneurs. But now, something I want to ask you again, that for you to succeed in a particular space, people normally start to audit who Mike is.
Yes.
How learned is he in this particular space?
Yeah.
Where has he been before? How good is he at understanding the Kenyan business space?
Yes.
On a personal level as well, your academic accolades, do they generally speak to a man who wanted to make businesses stick in the Kenyan economy? Because people don't buy into a company, they buy into the man.
Yes.
Who is he? Where has he been?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So I started, my first degree was it was a Bachelor of Arts in Mathematics and Economics. So I know a little bit about economics here and there. My master's, which I did a couple of years ago, is in leadership, but specifically business entrepreneurship. So for me, what caught my attention even as I did that particular course was the fact that everything that I do, am I able to make a difference in an entrepreneur's life? I could have done a business master's in business administration, but I chose to do something in business entrepreneurship. Why? Because during my life in the commercial banking world, which is where I spent quite a bit of time,
Yes.
I literally worked with entrepreneurs and primarily with SMEs. And for me, that excites me, seeing, like I say, seeing a client move from this point to this point. That's what excites me. And I went back to school and say, what can I know? What can I learn to be able to help this entrepreneur, more than just giving them money, to help them. And I have conversations with entrepreneurs and they say, yeah, we're giving you money, but beyond the money, this is what else we want you to achieve. And just making sure. So for me, business partners has been an interesting space because it allows me that opportunity to have that conversation with the entrepreneur and go beyond just the funding.
Does that?
Yes.
Personal questions do not stop here. In the first part, we're just going to learn about the man behind the company. It's okay for us to call you the new man in office. You know, they say, well, come back after 5 years, we'll see exactly what it is. It's good for us to call you the new man in office. I want to ask you, on a personal level, with the businesses that you're targeting, with the entrepreneurs that you're targeting, or you've already partnered with in the past 4 years, since you walked in, would you say that when you walked into this particular office and you were told, hey, Mike, this is your mandate, would you say that you've met your personal goals and targets from the time that you walked into this office up to where you're right now?
Definitely. I can confidently say, yes, I've met my targets. In the sense that I have seen businesses grow from one level to another. Have we made decisions at times that make us get jittery and think, maybe we should not have done that? Yes, we have. But majority of the decisions we've made and how we've made them, we're proud of them.
Does it?
Proud of them.
Yes. Does it?
Yes.
So, what is the next chapter for Business Partners International in the sense of the entrepreneurs that you're partnering with? Are we going to see an increase in the number of the entrepreneurs you want to bring in to partner with you in this journey, going by the fact that 16 years essentially speaks of a proper track record for companies already figured out what to do, how to identify these entrepreneurs to partner with? Are we going to see more entrepreneurs come on board?
Yes, for sure. That's our target. At any given point, we want to bring in new entrepreneurs whom we can be able to fund and they can create impact. However, it's very unlikely you'll ever see us playing in the mass market. Because if we attempt to do that, we're going to lose our focus. Our focus is very clear. Where are these lifestyle entrepreneurs that we can be able to back, and they make a difference in their communities, they make a difference within their circles, and make a difference in their industry? So those are always the businesses we'll always focus on. Those are the businesses we'll always target. We'll always cherry pick them, but when we find them, it's always a game changer. Yes.
Are you looking at homogeneous entrepreneurs? Is there something that you're looking from these entrepreneurs that you're trying to partner with? Is that character you're looking for? And have you met it separately?
Yes.
Would you say that most of the entrepreneurs that you're partnering with right now, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 it takes, and that's exactly what it is that we're looking for?
Yes. Passion.
Yes.
They have passion for the industry. They have passion for the business that they run. They have passion for what they do.
Yes.
So for us, that's very critical. Second thing is competence. Do they have the competency to run the business the way it should be run?
Yes.
And we're not always looking for 100% competency. Because remember, we talked about the technical assistance. That's what the technical assistance comes to fill in when you realize they're not at 100%. 80%, 70%, that's good enough. We'll run with them, and then the remaining portion will help them push it to the next level. But for us, passion, the competency, very critical.
Pretty much. Guess what? You're still watching Captain's Arena. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. We've known the man behind Business Partners International. See, what he's saying is he's quite passionate about seeing businesses succeed, especially small businesses, the ones that he really wants to partner with. So once we come back after this break, we shall be knowing who are you who's going to qualify for this partnerships that he's talking about. How special are they? And the bigger question in the room, how different is he from a commercial bank? Because whatever he's offering, by the way, you can walk into a bank today and get that financing. Does he view the banking sector as a competitor? Does he view himself separate from the banking sector? Once we come back, knowing what support you get from Business Partners International as an MSME. Once we come back right here on Lookuptv.
Mambo ni mawili, kufikisha, kumwaga na kurudi. Kulala ni mwaka mpya. Bua muka we mse. Nini mbaya? Wewe kwani wani vile dereva anaendesha gari vibaya, lazima tususe. Anaendesha gari na kwa simu the whole time, hata angalia barabara. Iliyopita peke yake watu zaidi ya 3,000 walipoteza maisha yao barabarani kwa sababu ya tabia kama hizo. Hautatuangamiza tukiona. Naomba msamaha, nitampeleka vizuri. Si wameomba msamaha. Sasa tuende tusafiri kwa mwendo wa aste.
Dere Smart hufikisha abiria salama. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na NTSA kwa ushirikiano na European Union.
Welcome back. You are watching Lookuptv. This is the Captain's Arena. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. On this episode, we are looking at Business Partners International, a company with one promise, that they partner with entrepreneurs. In the second part, we're going to look at the type of support that you're going to get from Business Partners International and what essentially sets them apart from the rest of the companies in this space that are almost promising the same or almost similar services. Still in conversation with Michael Mudengi, who is the country manager, Business Partners International. Mike, let's get into that then. But for somebody listening to you,
Yes.
they will say, well, why do I have to go to him? I can walk into a bank today, give them my books, they would assess it and see that I qualify for a certain amount of financing, and I'll be done and dusted. It's on a transactional basis. I don't have to partner with any other person. I don't want Mike to come in and audit or run my business. Let him look at the numbers. What sets you apart?
Thank you very much. So what sets us apart? Number one is that we offer you flexibility. There's a flexibility that you will not get in a commercial bank. When I say flexibility, what do I mean? So for example, you're looking to purchase equipment. Today, if you go to a commercial bank and you want to buy equipment, they will give you, for example, a 3-year loan. They will release the money today, we're in February. In March, they'll be knocking at the door and saying, where's our money? And you need to start paying them immediately. In February, in March, in April, until the season is over.
Yes.
For us, we'll go an extra mile and say, what do you want this money for? I want to buy an equipment. Where are you buying the equipment from? I'm buying the equipment from India for argument's sake. How long will it take it to get from the equipment, once it's paid for, how long will it take to get from India to Kenya? How long will the installation take? How long will it take you to set up the equipment and start generating your products? And finally, after you have your products and put them in the market, how long will it take you to pay us? And once we do all that, so if it's 6 months, we'll give you a 6 months capital moratorium. The only thing you will pay us during that period is only interest. So that sets us apart, because it's not very many financials that will be able to go to that extent.
Does it?
And that is unique in the sense that what Simba wants and what the other person wants is different. Yours, you could only be needing 3 months. The other person could be needing 12 months, or the other one would be needing 6 months. So we tailor make it to that extent and say, for you, we'll give you 6 months because from all the documents and the conversation we've had, you need 6 months. So that's the first thing that we're able to do, that level of flexibility. What's the second thing? We can do up to 100% finance. So for example, you want to purchase an office block like ours here, and you come to us and say, this office block is going to cost me 20 million. Then we say, okay, that's all good. How much will it cost you to do the partitionings and to do the rest of it? We do our calculation, maybe another 2-3 million, and we say, fine. So you need a whole 23 million to be able to occupy this building. All set, you move in and everything runs. We'll tell you, that's good. We'll give you 23 million. And the person is like, but if you today went to a commercial bank, they will most probably tell you, the total cost of the project is 23 million. You need to raise 20% or you need to raise 30%. We'll fund you the difference. As we're saying, no, we'll give you the whole 23. What's our rationale? Where will you get the 3 million, the 5 million that you need to put in? Chances that you need to pull it out of your business. If you pull it out of your business, it's most probably going to hurt your bottom line.
Yes, sir.
So we're saying, instead of pulling the money out of your business, we'll fund you all that so that your business does not change. The status of your business does not change, and you still have an office, and all you're doing is that you're doing some savings and saying, I was paying rent of this amount, this is now how much I need to pay you as business partners, because I'm now owning these premises. My profitability from the company can cover the difference between the rent I was paying and the installment I need to pay you. So that's how flexible we are. We're able to do up to 100% funding.
Does it?
Then the last bit is that we don't insist on 100% collateral. When I say 100% collateral is that ordinarily When you go looking for funding from a financial institution, they'll tell you, how much are you looking for? You say, I'm looking for 50 million. They tell you, okay, that's very good. So we need a collateral worth 60 million. Why do they want it at 60 million? Because at any given point, any financier will always discount that property with a certain ratio. So they will say, for us to achieve our 50 million position, which is the money you require, the property value must be worth 60 million. For us, we say, that's all good. How much do you have? You say, the only collateral I have is worth the 50 million and I still want 50 million. We say, that's good. Let's see the details of the collateral. Let's do the analysis of your business. Let's see, is it something that we can do? If we are all happy, we'll still do the transaction. What does that mean then? It means we are not necessarily 100% secured, but we're happy. Remember, I told you we're a risk financier. We're willing to take some extra risk in this whole transaction if it's going to make a difference in your life as an entrepreneur and it's going to create impact.
Pretty much. Still on that particular point for which SME then qualifies to work with you, and I now want to talk about the kind of technical support that you give somebody that you're partnering with. Let's begin like that. From 15 to 100 million, isn't it? That's 150 million. That's the kind of MSME that you're targeting. Why that band? Could you make it clear to me?
Why that band? The portion above that, we tend to feel that they're starting to move into the corporate space. And we're designed and mandated to work in the SME space. When you go down to the 15 million mark, you start going into the micro space. And we're saying, we want to have, we've perfected the art in doing business at a certain level. We don't want to keep reinventing ourselves and doing things differently. And we're saying, this is our sweet spot. And we're saying, anything, somebody looking for between 15 million and 150, anything in between there, you will most probably be within the range of the entrepreneur we're looking for, who will create the impact that we're looking for. And it's because, like they say, you can't serve everyone. You've got to choose where you want to serve. So we've chosen to serve in the small and the medium enterprise space, not on the corporate space and not on the micro space. And we feel that's where the numbers are playing.
There's a startup listening to you right now saying, well, might not necessarily need that, but I'm a startup that is going to need between best 15 maybe to 60 million or maybe to 150 million. Do they still qualify?
Now, unfortunately, we don't touch startups unless it's a startup inside an existing business. So if Simba walks out of employment today and they go and set up a business from zero and they're trying to put it together and they need the 15 million to fund it to be able to take it to the next level, we won't touch. For us, the business has to have operated for at least 3 years. And in a profitable manner. So for the 3 years it's operated, it has to be in a profitable manner. But on top of that, just being profitable, for us, we also look at the viability into the future and say, this is what you're doing. You might not be doing a lot here. However, based on the funding that you're looking for, based on the cash flows that will come out of that, I will need 50 million. So we'll be able to come in and partner with you. Why? Because you're a historical record that we can rely on in ability to show us this is how you've performed, this is how you've worked. But more so, which is very important for us, is how does the future look? What's the viability of that future? What are you relying on? How does your industry look like? So those are the things we're looking at and saying, based on these variables, then it looks very viable, and therefore we're willing to fund the entrepreneur, not only on the historical data, but also based on the cash flows that will come out of the future that they're looking at.
But we've got to make this clear as well, because for any other person listening to you, I mean, they will say, well, reasons why businesses look for funding. Number one, like debt or some loss within a particular financial year or within a particular business process might necessitate a profitable business to go in and look for more cash. Are you saying that any other business that you work with, Mike, has to, before they knock on that door, come in and say, well, we've been in business for 6 years, and during those 6 years we've been only on the positive in our balance sheet?
So what we're saying is that you need to be profitable.
At what point?
At the time you're coming to us, the last 3 years, you need to be consistently profitable. Why is that important? Because if you're not at a profitable place, chances that most probably you cannot accommodate debt. And I told you about numbers. Just looking through numbers. And you could almost go to, it's very unlikely that a loss-making business will be able to make profit, will be able to accommodate debt at that particular point. What they most probably need at that particular point is patient capital, not debt. Because patient capital does not expect you to start repaying them immediately. Now, we're giving you debt. If we give you debt, we're going to strangle you at that point because you're coming from a loss position. Most probably as an entrepreneur, you've continued to pump in money into this business, and most probably you're about to exhaust your own personal resources. And we say, if we come and give you debt at that particular point, timing will most probably be wrong. We need you to get to that point where you're profitable, where the business is stable, and what you're saying is that I need to take my business to the next level. And businesses that are still at loss-making position, my recommendation is always get patient capital to come in and get you out of that hole. Once you're out of the hole, then you can consider debt.
Pretty much.
Yes.
So business walks in,
yes,
and you're looking at the business, you're saying, well, this entrepreneur is somebody that we need to work with, is a lifestyle entrepreneur, breathes, sleeps, eats the business, and profitable for some time. They want to leap into the next stage. It's not just about the money. And for somebody who's been in this space, you do know very well that capital for some businesses is not essentially the problem, because if a business is profitable for 3 years and running, I mean, any investor can walk in and give them money to expand and grow the business. Even a bank could give them the money based on just balance sheet. What technical support do you specifically give a business that has come to you for money? Because if you're going to partner, then it means we've got to be friends in this journey. I don't want to lose this money that I'm giving you. So let's talk about that.
So the technical assistance we're able to offer our clients varies. So, and it's primarily things that we call the soft bit of funding.
Yes.
What is a soft bit? It could be as simple as the governance structure. So like the earlier case I had mentioned to you, this person was running everything by themselves, making all the decisions, literally running the whole field in that enterprise. But we're saying you need to delegate, you need to let go some of these things. You need to create a structure that enables you to do that. So part of it could be as simple as creating processes and saying, what is Simba's JD from today? Yes. What is his level of responsibility? And have it all documented, and then ensure that Simba understands what his responsibilities are, and he has the ability to even execute them. So it will go beyond that, saying, let's first help the entrepreneur create that structure. Then secondly, even train them and train part of their team to be able to execute that structure. So that's one thing. We've had situations, for example, where we financed an enterprise that was importing a lot of stuff into the country. Yes. But what they realized that they need to go for international expos to meet new suppliers for what they bring on board. So we funded them under the technical assistance for their flights, for their accommodation, and for the attendance of that conference. Why would we do that? Because at the end of the day, that conference, that expo that is happening in Dubai or in the UK is what is going to change this enterprise's future. Yes. So for us, that's technical assistance, and it helps them. Other things could be like software development, or even the software that the enterprise is using. Yes. So you come and find the company is using a very simple system of Excels to capture all their data, or whatever they're using is very, very, very basic. We're able to come on board and say, let's go look for a system that can do more, that can provide you data even on your fingertips, so that even if you're not in the office, you're out in the field, you can go to your phone and look at some numbers, some reports, and it keeps the entrepreneur, gives the entrepreneur the ability to make decisions on the go, and they don't necessarily have to receive physical documents. Exactly. So software development. We've even done things like ISO certification, where if this company requires an ISO certification, and that ISO certification is going to open doors for them, we're able to provide that for them so that we get them a mentor and they come on board, help them get that certification, show them the processes, help them through that whole process. It could be even things like health and safety for the organization. So some of the things that we're able to do, and at the end of the day. But the most unique thing about that technical assistance bit is that if we give you a shilling, you pay back a shilling. We don't charge you anything.
There's no interest charge.
There's no interest charge on the
fund.
technical assistance.
Yes.
But remember, you can't get the technical assistance unless you've taken the normal funding from us. So the technical assistance for us comes in to ensure that these goals, these objectives, these cash flows that you have created, you're able to achieve them. And we're asking ourselves, is there anything in here that needs to be done to enable you as an entrepreneur achieve this objective that we have both agreed on we need to achieve? And that's what we help you to make sure that it happens.
Pretty much. Let's talk about what every other person is thinking about right now.
Yes.
I mean, there's a proper preposition right there.
Yes.
I want to work with them.
Yes.
But then, at the end of the day, these partnerships is got the governing word in this particular space.
Yes.
It's interest rates.
Yes.
Interest rate is a very sensitive word for every other person who's out looking for capital, looking for finance, looking for partnerships as well.
Yes.
How special is your interest rate? Can we talk about it?
How special? So let's backtrack for a minute.
Yes.
We're a risk financial.
That's it.
So don't come to us expecting to get a price equivalent to what a commercial bank will give you or less than what a commercial bank will give you. Why? Because we're looking to do a transaction that a commercial bank cannot be able to do or they're not willing to do. Because you're looking for that extra flexibility. You don't have sufficient collateral.
Yes.
And by the time you're coming to us, you're saying, one of the questions we'll always ask you, have you talked to your bankers? We actually ask that question, and everyone would be curious to why would you ask me that question? The reason is we're not created to compete with the commercial banks. We are created to play in a space where the commercial banks are not able to play. We're giving you 100% funding that the commercial bank is not going to be able to give you. We're giving you financing at a level where the collateral is lower at times than the amount that you're looking for. We're giving you flexibility that the commercial bank is not able to give you. So because of that, we will always be higher than a commercial bank. So right now, our prime rate, which is equivalent to the prime, the base lending rate for commercial banks, is at 19%. We will always put a margin on top of that, yes, based on the risk we evaluate for Simba's enterprise. So Simba's enterprise, the risk is low, so our margin will not be as significant. So somebody else whose risk is way higher, yes, and we're still convinced it's a good business, will put up a higher margin. Yes. So what will our pricing be? It will always vary. It will always vary. One client will get this price, another client will get this price.
The 19% is the top end?
No, 19% is our base rate is normally the minimum. Then now you put a markup on it, yes, and then depending on the client, now, yes, we're able to price it.
How far are you able to extend
it all depends.
Yes.
To be honest with you, it all depends. Mm-hmm. The client and the risk that we're having to take on that enterprise. It always depends.
But so you speak about this at a time when even the banks have the risk-based lending, yes, that even sees some clients get up to 25, some even 28% currently, yes, as it is.
Yes.
The speciality of that,
yes,
does that put you still in the realm of the banking sector now, when you know very well that they are also operating within that risk-based lending?
You see, for them, as much as they're doing a risk-based lending, yes, they're not willing to take some level of risk, which is the risk we're willing to take. And that's really, at the end of the day, that's what differentiates us. And more so to it, which you alluded to when we started this conversation, is that we work with you. For us, it's not a transaction. We don't do transactions. For us, it's partnerships. We get in, we're your friends, we spend time with you, we come and visit you, we have interesting conversations. And why is that? It's because for us it's a partnership. It's not a transaction where I come and do. At the bank, at one point I had over 10,000 clients on my portfolio. I can't say the same today. There's no way I would have known 10,000 people in my portfolio. Today I know every single client. I have spoken to them, I have related with them. Why? It's because it's a partnership. This business for us, it's about partnership.
Which which business cannot qualify, number one, for your partnership? I mean, you started talking about how some businesses will come here with numbers, and you're like, number-wise you qualify, but whose this is not going to qualify to you this morning, man?
So a couple of businesses we will not touch. One, like we mentioned, we will not touch a startup. What is the other business that will not touch? Will not touch a business that does alcohol production, brewery, all that bit, and will not do a company that does tobacco processing. Those are the key three ones. And the last one will be primary agriculture. We don't have expertise at primary agriculture, so we don't do it. We've said there are a lot of other enterprises that are able to do that. They have the expertise, let them do that. So those are the key four functions, areas that we don't do. Anything else in between, we are able to do.
Who's this mentor that you specifically pick to work with these businesses once you start to offer them this technical support? So
what we've done is that over the last 16 years, we've accumulated consultants. And these consultants are specialists in their space. So we find a consultant who is a specialist in the financial space. Or we'll find a consultant who is a specialist in health and safety. Or we'll find a consultant who is a specialist in governance. And these people, we keep creating relationships with them, and we keep onboarding them. So we have a list of over 200 different consultants that we hold on our database. And as we have the conversation with you as an entrepreneur, we'll go back and say, who is the right person to work with this? And we'll pick three. We always pick a minimum of three and say, Simba, here are three consultants. Go have a conversation with them, and we'll do an introduction of these three consultants to you. They'll come to your business, they'll have a chat with you, then they'll give us a proposal and say, based on what Simba has told me, this is what I propose to do. Then after that, we will sit now with you and say, these are the three proposals we've received. This is what we've seen on this one. These are the advantages of working with this consultant. So what do you think? And we'll listen to you, Simba, and say, all said and done, this guy seems to understand my business, and I want to work with them. And based on that, we'll tell you, okay, fine, work with this consultant. And then we'll now engage this consultant, create clear milestones of what needs to be done, how it's going to be done to achieve the goal that we both desire to have.
Dazan, I want to take a unique perspective in my next question.
Yes.
For a company that works with such, I would say, special clients, I mean, the numbers are not that large. Even over the years, you would say probably in a year, you have 10, 15, 20, then the success for the company.
Yes.
Have you had repeat clients who come in and say, well, maybe 5 years ago, we worked together on this particular business, it essentially grew to this particular level, I'm back again, because you guys understand my journey. Because that's the only confirmation that you can get where people are saying, well, the process at a Business Partners International is a fulfilling process and actually answers questions of the target entrepreneurs that you want to partner with.
Definitely. As recent as last year, we had a client who we funded, I think must have been 5 or 7 years ago. They came back, and the first question we asked them, how come your bank is not helping you? And they said, we still want to work with you. And we've just finished implementation of that particular funding. We're able to give them more money. They needed to expand because they have outlets. They needed to add more outlets. We've helped them expand the outlets. We've helped them acquire a new machine. And for us, that was joy. As we speak, there's another client of ours who's been on our books for maybe 4 or 5 years. We're having a conversation and say, Mike, I need more money because this has changed, this has happened. Are you going to give me more money? Despite the fact that I still have a loan with you that is running. I said, yes. Why? Your loan is running very well. Why would I refuse to give you money and you're still within my bracket? So we're having that conversation and I'm saying, let's do this.
Yes. What people want to hear now.
Yes.
Business is business. Might be profitable for 3 years, and the point when I come to you for expansion, that's when my plan goes aloof.
Yes.
And that's when my numbers start going on a negative.
Yes.
How do you handle the process of defaulting? You know, defaulting just doesn't happen once. There's a process that normally goes through the entire defaulting period. How do you handle defaulters within your system?
I'll use 2 words.
Yes.
We are firm and patient.
Let's start with firm.
We are firm in the sense that we agreed on some very simple dynamics. This is what you're going to pay us. This is when you're going to pay us. This is how you're going to pay us. So we are firm. Let's first agree that we had an agreement of how this was going to happen. However, we're going to be patient in the sense that we're going to hear your story and we're going to understand where are you coming from. And we want to understand, do you have a plan of getting out of your situation? So this is the plan. I'm planning to do this. This is how I'm going to change. So I want you to give me patience to the extent that I was paying you this amount of money. Right now, I can't afford to pay you this amount of money. I want you to reduce it from this to this for the next 6 months. Then everything settles. After 6 months, we go back to where we were, if possible, even to a better amount, so that I'm able to settle my loan. So we have that conversation. However, unfortunately, most times when businesses get into trouble, what do? They run and they hide. And that is all. It's not unique to business partners. It's something that happens the whole industry. And I always tell clients that I am dealing with, please never run away from your financial. It's not worth it. Your financial is not there to liquidate you. Your financial is there to enable you achieve your financial goals. And your financial understands your environment. They understand the economy that you're operating in. So the most critical thing is to come open and say, this is what's happening in my industry. This is what's happening in my space. Then we sit around a table and agree, how do we find a workable solution? You don't lose and I don't lose. And the many who have agreed to do that and have come to the table and we've had that conversation, it's always been a good journey. But the ones who run away and hide, it doesn't end well.
Let's talk about the soft approach.
Yes.
That in the eventuality that you've realized that some client somewhere is facing these problems, how do you approach it? You go back again to technical support,
yes,
trying to understand what the problems are.
Yes, we've done that in the past, where we say, from that conversation, from that evaluation we've established, this is the weak point. And the question we always ask ourselves, is there an opportunity to use a mentor, to use a consultant to help this entrepreneur resolve that issue? And we've done that before. And then at that point we agree, yes, this is what needs to be done. Let's approach it. And the client says, I would be happy for you to help me in that. And we go back to our database and we pick a consultant and say, this is the struggle this client is going through. Please work with them. And we get a monthly, quarterly review and we say, are we making traction? And we track that progress. Like I said, that's what technical assistance is. It's not just at the beginning, but during the life of your stay with business partners. If you still need more help, our resources are still available to make sure that that happens.
Pretty much.
Yes.
So take just a minute, actually 15 seconds to answer these questions now, because we're going to start chatting the end of our conversation today. Culture is very important.
Yes.
What name do you think business partners has in the Kenyan space? And what are you doing to sustain that name? Could be bad, could be good.
I think we are open. I believe we are very open. Both internally, among ourselves, we're very open. I don't close my door for my office. It's permanently open. Anyone can walk in at any given point. They need something sorted out. And the question they just need to ask, Mike, do you have a minute? And I say yes.
No one has called you Mike.
You know, and we're able to sort. And the same thing with our clients. Same thing with our clients. For us, it's about openness.
Yes.
Saying, this is the reality. This is what's happening. This is it. So for us, the culture we've tried to create both internally and externally is that we are open. Come talk to us. We'll come and talk to you. We'll visit you. Tell us everything that we need to know. Because if you sweep anything under the carpet and we discover it, it won't be nice. It won't go well for you. It won't go well for us. So put everything on the open and it will be all done. So for me, I would say openness.
Pretty much.
Yes.
You've been here for 4 years. For those in the space, we'll call you the new country manager. What is the next 5 years like you? 30 seconds. If you're going to still be here.
I think it's growth.
Yes.
I think it's having more impact and ensuring that there are more entrepreneurs in Kenya who get the opportunity to partner with us. For me, it's about growth and getting those entrepreneurs who, for example, have never heard about business partners, coming and says, can you partner with us? And we'll be happy to do it.
Mike, what wakes you up? What is this one value about you that makes you wake up every day and come here and talk about small businesses and how they can grow? What is the one value about you?
Influence. For me, it's about influence. For me, life is about influence. Every time I wake up, the only question I ask myself is that, Mike, yesterday, who did you influence? Today, who are you going to influence? Whether it's a client, whether it's a supplier, whether it's a colleague, for me, that's the only question I ask myself. And in the evening, I beat myself up if I feel I didn't influence anyone in the course of the day.
Oof, that's it. Mike, thank you very much for agreeing to do this with us.
Thank you too.
Thank you
very much. It was a pleasure.
So, Mike says, if indeed there's something that makes him happy or wakes up, is that he has to influence you. Like the influence that he doesn't sleep okay. If he's gone to sleep and then there's no business, there's not an entrepreneur who's maybe called him and told him, hey, things are working. For someone who operates in that space, it makes sense then for us to call him a captain of an industry, just like we do it right here on the Captains Arena. Want to work with them? You do know what it is. Talk to them at a Business Partners International. And Mike says his office is open, so if you've got something for him, then walk right in. And probably the best introduction that you can do is just call him Mike. You know that you're a man for him as well. Lookuptv across all your social media platforms in conversation with a country manager, Business Partners International. The hashtag Captains Arena. I'll see you next week for another edition. Goodbye.